Welcome to STEM School. Derivation of the quadratic formula by completing the square. Quadratic expression is written as ax squared plus bx plus c. If you turn it into equation, equals 0. Now, to calculate, to write down the formula means to make the equation make x the subject. If I make x the subject, this is what we will get. Making x the subject will be minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So this is the quadratic formula we're going to derive. Now to derive this formula, so I'm going to just draw this line down. Right. Okay, so let's start. I'm starting with the quadratic equation. Ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. I'm going to apply completing the square. Completing the square only applies to the first two terms of the trinomial. This quadratic here is a trinomial. That means it's got 3 times. But in order to apply completing the square, completing the square only applies to the first 2 terms. But a has to be 1. Because a has to be 1, I have to divide through by a. So if I'm going to do, because there's an equal sign, I can do that. Otherwise, if there was no equal sign, I have to take a out in the first 2 terms, and then I can do completing the square on the first 2 terms. So in this case, there's an equal sign, so I have to divide by a, so I get x squared plus b over a x plus c over a equal to 0. 0 over a is 0. Now this is completing the square ready, because to do completing the square, a has the coefficient of x squared has to be 1. Now to apply the completing the square, I need to transform the x squared to x, bring the sign down, so this is plus, and then I need to divide my new b, this is b over a, so the new b over a I have to divide it by 2, which is b over 2a. Square it, take away the square of b over 2a, so that b over 2a squared. Bring down the c over a, and then equal to 0. So that's my completing the square done. This bit here is actually my y at the turning point. That's my y at the turning point. And at the turning point, my x, because I can see x plus b over 2a. If I set that to 0, then at the turning point, x will become minus b over 2a. So sometimes during the finding the turning point, sometimes I've used that formula. That's where it comes from. Now x equals minus b over 2a. That's the x value at the turning point, and the y value at the turning point is this lot here. But we need to carry on with our derivation. So we're trying to make x the subject. So from here, what I need to do next is open up this square So I'm going to have x plus b over 2a squared minus b squared over 4a squared. B squared, 2 squared is 4, a squared is a squared, plus c over a equal to 0. Now what I need to do now is make this fraction here the same denominator. I need to times this one by 4a, and I need to times that by 4a. 4a times a is 4a squared. So I will have x plus b over 2a squared minus b squared over 4a squared plus 4ac over 4a squared equal to 0. So now I have the same denominator for these two, but first of all I'm going to move them to the right hand side. I want to move these two because they are constant. So this is why I had a turning point. So I'm going to move them to the right hand side. So I'll get x plus b over 2a squared will be equal to b over 4a squared minus, because that was plus, it will become minus if you move it to the other side, and that plus will become, sorry, if this minus will become plus if you move it to the other side, and the plus will become minus when you move it to the other side. So I will get minus 4ac over 4a squared. Now they have the same denominator. You can see a common denominator. So that will be b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. And that is x plus b over 2a squared. Now to get rid of the squared here, I need to square root. If I square root, it will remove that squared. So I'm going to have x plus b over 2a equals, so I'm square rooting this as well. So that'll be plus or minus b squared minus 4ac square root. I'm also square rooting the bottom because I'm square rooting the whole lot. I have to square root both all top and bottom. So that'll be divided by, you need a plus or minus by the way, divided by the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of a squared is a. Now I need to move b over 2a to the other side because there's a plus here. I have to do the opposite, which is take away b over 2a. So I get x equals minus b over 2a plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So you can see that 2a is common to both of those. So you're going to get minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So now we have derived the formula which we called quadratic formula. So now that is the quadratic formula which was there. And that's how to derive it using completing the square. Solve the following equations using quadratic formula. A, x squared minus 4x equals minus 2. So we know what quadratic formula is. Quadratic formula is x equals minus b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. And the quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. This is a trinomial. It's got 3 terms. and therefore it's a polynomial function. So first of all, we need to identify what a is. A equals, we need to rearrange that, by the way, to make it look like that. So that's the first thing we need to do. So we need to have this written as x squared minus 4x minus 2 plus 2 equal to 0. So that's the first thing we need to do. And now we need to say what a is. A is 1, so that's 1 here. And b equals minus 4. C equals 2. So now we're going to substitute those values into the formula to find x. So the x equals minus, now b is minus 4, so I'd open bracket, minus 4, close bracket, plus or minus square root, minus 4 squared, minus 4, a is 1, so 1, open bracket, close, and c is 2, and then we divide the whole by 2a, so 2, 1. And on doing that, we get x equals minus times minus 4 is 4, plus or minus square root, minus 4 squared is minus 4 times minus 4, which is 16, minus, now 4 times 1, minus 4 times 1 is minus 4, minus 4 times 2 is minus 8, over 2 times 1 is 2. Now that will give us, so that would be x equals, in fact I can write it here, I'm taking the whole paper now. So x, so that would be x equals 4 plus or minus root of 8 over 2. Now root 8, so if I do root 8, root of 8 is root of 4 times root of 2, and that is 2 root 2. So therefore x will become 4 plus or minus 2 root 2 over 2, which means x equals, now 2 is a common factor, 2 into bracket 2 plus or minus root of 2 over 2. 2 cancels 2, x equals 2 plus or minus root 2. So that means I have two values of x. x1 will become 2 plus root 2, and x2 will become 2 minus root 2. Now to show that the answers are correct, we can quickly check if during the exams, and what you need to do is turn on your calculator, and in your calculator you need to select menu and keep going until you see an A option. So you can see A, equation function. So you press the arrow until you get there, and you press equals. Now you want to select polynomial, as this is a polynomial. So select 2. Now the degree of polynomial here is 2 because the highest exponent is 2. This calculator can do up to degree of polynomial of 4. That's quartic. Degree of polynomial of 3 is cubic, and degree of polynomial of 2 is quadratic. So we press 2, and so we have the quadratic expression here, and we need to fill in the coefficients. The coefficient A is 1, so you press 1 equals, and B is minus 4, so you press minus 4 equals, and C is plus 2, so you press 2 equals, and then you press equals again, and so your answer will be 2 plus root 2. So that's the first thing we got here. So that's correct. 2 plus root 2, and you press equals again, and it give you 2 minus root 2, so that's correct. But if you press equals again, it will give you the turning point here. Because A is positive, this is a minimum turning point, which means that the graph will look like that. And the turning point is what this is now going to give us. And if you press equals again, the turning point X value is 2. And then you press equals again, and the Y value is minus 2. So the calculator can feed you with those information, which you can quickly check during the exams. So now let's do question B. In this case, this one looks like a general quadratic equation, so that's good, where A equals minus 1, because there's 1 here, so it's minus 1, B equals 4, and C equals minus 3. So now we need to put it into the X equals to minus B, so that means minus 4, so that's good, plus or minus square root 4 squared minus 4 into bracket A is minus 1 and C is minus 3 AC over 2A, 2 times minus 1. So here you can go minus 4 plus or minus square root of 16. Now, minus 4 times minus 1 is plus 4. Plus 4 times minus 3 is minus 12 over 2 times minus 1 minus 2. And that will give us minus 4 plus or minus root of 4 over minus 2, which would become, right, root of 4 is 2, so you go minus 4 plus or minus 2 over minus 2. And that should give us, 2 we cancel, how many 2 goes in 4? So minus 4 over minus 2 will be plus 2. Then plus or minus 2 over 2 will give you 1. So otherwise, take 2 out, take minus 2 out as a common factor, and you will get minus 2, and then you get 2 plus 1. So again, it's 2 plus 1. So X equals 2 plus 1 in this case. So the final answer will be X equals, X1 will be 2 plus 1, which equals to 3, or X2 will be 2 minus 1, which equals to 1. Now, again, we can check this with a calculator to see whether we've done it right. This is the last one we did. To get back to the quadratic expression, we press AC. And now we can input the value. So the coefficient of x squared is minus 1, so you put minus 1 there. Press equals. The coefficient of x is 4, so you put 4 equals. Coefficient of C is minus 3, so you put minus 3, put equals there, and then now we press equals again. So the first answer is 3, so x1 is 3, so that was good, and the second equal will be x2 is 1, so that's also good. Now you want to find the position, because A is negative here, the curve is going to be a maximum. So maximum, and this will give you the turning point. The turning point here, TP, is going to give you the coordinate. So if you press equals again, it will say maximum is 2, x is 2, so that's x is 2 at the maximum, and press equals again, y is 1. So the coordinate at the maximum, and you can find it actually by doing x equals to minus b over 2a. That will give you the value of the turning point of x. So b is 4 minus 4. So if you put that there, so okay, minus 4 over a is minus 1. So minus 2 here, because minus 1 times 2 is minus 2. Minus comes in minus 4 divided by 2 is 2. So yes, you do get 2, and this is right from the calculator. And if you substitute 2 back into your expression, you should get y to be 1. And that's how you check your work using your calculator quickly. To come out of the system, you can just press Shift. If you press Shift 9, that will reset it for you, and you press 3 to initialize that, and then you press equal sign to say yes, and then you press AC to clear. So that's done.